Hello everybody, and welcome. This is the craziest music convention on earth, and this is the Sometimes Vlog. It's a vlog that happens sometimes. I really wish I could have sang that introduction a little better, especially given where we are, which I'll explain in a second, but I am feeling a little hoarse. As a matter of fact, last night I got home from Disneyland, felt really funny and thought, that's weird, I feel really funny. My eyes are watering, my ears feel really hot. Checked my temperature and it turned out that I had a fever. And you know what? I looked online, I went to WebMD and I checked and I double checked and I triple checked. I checked all my symptoms. I looked at my eyeballs, in the mirror and everything. It turns out that the only prescription is more cowbell. Welcome back everybody to the Sometimes Vlog, and today we are at NAMM. No, we're not at NAMM, getting shot at by snipers and things in the trees and other wonderful stuff. We are at NAMM, N-A-M-M, the National Association of Music Merchants Show. Well, actually, NAMM is the organization. This is the NAMM show, and it is the biggest, I think the biggest in the world. I'm pretty sure. Let's just go with that. It's the biggest in the world, the biggest music convention that exists. Now, what I mean by that is all of the companies like Shure, who make really awesome microphones, and Korg, who make tuners and wonderful things, and Vox, who makes wonderful guitar amps and other kinds of amps that I really want because, you know, all those British invasion bands and other awesome. Look at that, that's awesome. Okay, well, I'm getting distracted. Stop getting distracted, Justin. You idiot. Anyway, all of these companies who make musical instruments, you never think about this. They too have a convention where they come to ply their trade and sell their wares, not to us though, not to the public, not to the average Joe, not even to me when I used to be a musician. I almost said magician. I've never been a magician, although I am kind of magical, aren't I? No, even when I was a musician, geez Louise. Musician. Hold on, I gotta get this together or we're never gonna make it through this vlog. Even when I was a musician, this is not what NAMM is for. It is not to sell this Epiphone guitar to me. It is to sell all of these wonderful products to music merchants. So people who own music stores, people who are buyers for big organizations and churches, things like that. So all of these companies come to show off their powerful family of electro voice speakers to guys like this who wear shorts like that, who work in offices that are so-so, and purchase things to be sold at other things. That makes it sound really, really boring. But the NAMM convention, the NAMM show I should say, is actually rather exciting because a lot of these companies, not these ones which I've never heard of like Ashdown Engineering and such, but a lot of these companies, the bigger ones, will hire crazy rock stars and stuff who use their equipment to come, especially the first 2 days when the public is not allowed in here and only the NAMM members and prospective buyers and exhibitors are allowed in here the first 2 days. I missed those because I was out in the desert. But especially on those days, they'll hire the crazy rock stars who use their equipment to come and show off and showcase some of their stuff. I know Steve Vai has been here, and a lot of other crazy, big, fancy guitar players and musicians. So this place is not just full of fuddy-duddies in suits who come to buy equipment and merchandise. It is also full of rock stars and bass players and drummers and people who have made all kinds of records and producers. Yeah, and that guy, the party guy, yeah. And this guy with a cowboy hat, and this lady with her hat. It's full of all kinds of crazy people. The other thing is, the last couple days of the NAMM show, it opens up to the public so that all these companies can show off all their fancy DJ, hip-hop and musical stuff to the public and convince all of us weirdos to come and look at it and purchase some of their fine products. And on those days, you'll see everybody else who is in a band or wants to be in a band or wants to be discovered all show up in their coolest uniforms. They all display their tattoos. They all put up their mohawks or get in their sexy dresses, like this guy here, and they wander around trying to look very cool and important. Back in the day, NAMM was much more exclusive. It was a lot harder to get in. The public couldn't just buy a ticket. I'm pretty sure, I don't even know if there were any public days 10 or 11 years ago, the first time I came to NAMM. But the first time I came to NAMM, it was much smaller than this. It did not use this much space. To put it in perspective, I think D23 used about a quarter of the space of this, the Anaheim Convention Center, that NAMM is using. So D23, the big giant Disney convention right here by Anaheim, right? Or in Anaheim, right by Disneyland, use about a quarter of the space. Now, that whole thing I started with the fever thing is absolutely 100% true. I actually did have a fever of 103.1 last night. It is now down between 99 and 101. I am holding it at bay. I'm not really sick or coughing, as I just coughed. That's because my throat is a little dry from the desert. I'm not really sick or anything, I don't think. That's the weird part. I don't feel sick at all. I promised that vlog from NAMM that I got invited to come to NAMM by a company called Roland. Roland is upstairs. Like, here's my exhibitor. Like, hold on, there it goes. Exhibitor badge. Roland makes keyboards and boss pedals. How's it going, man?
It's Moreland. Never.
Oh, Random Land, yeah.
I'm a fan. I'm a big fan.
That's
big
awesome.
YouTube.
What's your name, man?
Jose.
Jose. What are you doing at NAMM?
I work at ADJ, a lighting company.
Really? That's
Yes.
awesome. So how's it gone this year?
Great
Explain
year.
to me what NAMM is in about 3 minutes. NAMM and the NAMM show.
NAMM is the National Association of Music Merchants.
Okay.
It's where all the stores that sell music come together to find out what's new and what's hot for the next year.
See, you did that so well. Okay, and then what? Who's the craziest famous people that you've seen in NAMM?
Stevie Wonder.
Stevie Wonder was here?
Stevie Wonder
When?
walks around. Sinbad. A lot of famous
Sinbad.
people here. You were here.
Sinbad. Sinbad. What was your name again?
Jose.
Jose, dude, super nice to meet you.
Nice to
Thank
meet
you
you.
very much.
Take
Thank
care.
you for
Bye-bye.
putting that into a good short amount. Look at Jose right there, working on things. You know, the irony is, okay, so Roland makes keyboards, they make Boss tuning pedals and all that kind of crazy stuff. They make synthesizers, all the crazy early hip hop music use a lot of Roland synthesizers, and they make all kinds of crazy products today where you can take actual guitars and make them sound like whatever you want. Just one of the craziest companies in the world. Go look up Roland and their products. Anyway, they invited me here under exhibitor power, so I kind of had the run of the place. But I was out in the desert, missed the first 2 days. Anyway, the CEO of Roland Canada and some of the marketing people from the United States and all these different crazy people at Roland up there are all super nice, it turns out. And I was just thinking, the irony is, I spent all those years in a band, right? If you don't know, I was in a punk rock band for years and years and years and years. And I was using Boss tuning pedals and Boss distortion pedals and all this different stuff, which Roland makes. And coming and using Carvin amps and Marshall amps and Gibson guitars and all kinds of crazy stuff that they sell here. And I came to NAMM about 11 years ago, and I was dressed up too. I had dressed up, put on my cool rock and roll jacket and look dirty and rock and roll. I'm from rock and roll. I'm important. I could talk to Pat Smear or whoever, and I'm cool. I can talk about my band. I got a band. We got a CD coming. We're dropping a record. We got a single and a thing. Anyway, the irony is, all those years while I was doing that, I had to come to NAMM. The only way I could get into NAMM was I had a friend who owned recording studios that I worked at. I'd get a badge from them, or somebody would invite me like as a friend. And now that I don't play in a band, I really don't make music at all of any kind anymore. Not that you would know of anyways. I get invited to NAMM by a company whose products I actually did use for years and years of my life. I think if you're a guitar player, other than maybe sometimes they sell those little gray Korg tuners, but if you're a guitar player, I think you're familiar with the Boss tuning pedals, the chromatic tuners. I think almost everyone has one. I mean, once you move up from the Squier Strat Pack and move on to like real guitars and real amps and stuff like that, I'm pretty sure it's actually a rule that if you're gonna be a real guitar player, you have to own a Boss tuning pedal. You just have to. Look at this. And if you're a bass player, you might be a super big fan of Ernie Ball Music Man basses. I always thought they were really cool. I always wanted an Ernie Ball Music Man. Ooh, look at this guy. Look at this. Look at how many strings are on the bass guitar right there. Normal bass has 4 strings, so if you don't know, this bass has 1,000,000 strings. Anyway, what are the odds that I would quit playing in bands, I would stop caring if anyone thinks I'm cool, start making crazy, weird video adventures, and wandering around being myself, aka just ridiculous, and then, and only then, I would get invited to NAMM. Weird. Anyway, behind me, and I could have came on the days where it was all private and there was all the rock shows, but again, I was in the desert filming this Random Land that I hope is going to be super good. It's coming up soon. And by the way, just side note, there's a new Random Land up now, 5 weird things at Epcot. Look at this. Look at all these Marshall amps. I do have a fever. I am sick. I am way less enthusiastic than I want to be. I was here yesterday. I was so stoked, but I was saving the vlog for today because I'm going to get all my energy back, rest up from the desert, sleep in. And then it turns out I'm just wiped. I have the worst headache. And as you can imagine, NAMM, with all these crazy noises, is probably the worst place I could have chosen to come to. But I promised you a vlog from NAMM, and here we are. But look at this. This I actually am excited about. The wall of Marshall amps. Look at this guy's excited too. He's super stoked. His flash is stuck on, but he's stoked. Look at this. What? God? Oh. Whew. See, we're right here at the very end. Really? What time is it? 5 o'clock? Jeez Louise, what are we, a bunch of old ladies? I thought we were rock and roll. I thought we were rock and roll. Anyway, okay, here is the heart of NAMM right here. For me, for any guitar player, the Marshall amp wall. You like Marshall amps? You use Marshall amps if you're a guitar player? Are you a musician? What kind of instrument do you play? I want to know all about you and your musical experience. If you are a musician, and what instruments you play, what gear you use if you're in a rock and roll band, in these comments, because I think a lot of you are in bands, or have been in bands, or know bands, or you have favorite bands, or whatever it is, or you're musicians, and I would love to hear about all your stuff. Okay, we only have 10 minutes, so I gotta hurry. Look at this. An amazing wall of I wish I could afford each and every one of these amps and play each and every one of these amps. So right here behind me, you have Marshall amps. Kurt Cobain played on these. Everybody plays on these things. They are the craziest, like the go-to standard, righteous, crazy rock and roll amp right there. So that is a wall of amazing, like I want it, it will be mine. Exciting, amazing, rock and roll, The Who, just big Led Zeppelin. I don't know who uses Marshall amps. I can't think right now because I'm really sick, but rock and roll. And then behind this, behind you right now, maybe the most exciting, the craziest, just the most bangarang part, clearly the most popular too, part of NAMM. You can see all these crowds here, but where people really know what's happening is right over here in the sheet music section. Oh yeah, where else can you get books about just Avengers music, Annie music? Actually, that's pretty exciting. They put all their good stuff on the outside. That kind of screwed me over there. Look at this, wow! Patriotic music and World War songs and tunes for the ukulele by Dick Sheridan. Where else are you gonna get that? But here at the NAMM show. Also, Christmas songs for ukulele. Almost anybody else who would come here would not have shown you that. They would have walked around and tried to find like Stevie Wonder, I guess, but I'm not gonna do that. Although, look at this. It's Chewbacca. I love how the sheet music section, look at a fun pick. Huh? I love how the sheet music section is smart. They put all their good stuff, all the stuff, like they're not putting the best dulcimer method yet on the outside of the booth. They're putting that face on the inside of the booth. Although they should have put the Star Wars face on the outside. They got the Star Wars music and all that on the outside. What do they got? They had Fallout Boy, how to play Fallout Boy songs on piano on the other side. But then of course, over here, they've got the Irish bouzouki method. So, it's not all rock and roll here, you know. We got all kinds of music. Speaking of, look at this booth right here. I was gonna say something about this. Ernie Ball makes slinky guitar strings. Those are my favorite guitar strings. People are gonna ask, guitar people are gonna ask. I play 9s, sometimes 10s, but I like very light guitar strings. So Ernie Ball makes all of, I think, the best guitar strings in the world. I'm trying to find them right here. Okay, here we go. Regular slinky. I play super slinkies, but look at this packaging right here. The Ernie Ball regular slinky and the super slinky and all these different packages right here. That Ernie Ball logo was invented by Disney Imagineer Rolly Crump. Look at this thing. There they are, the super slinkies. Wow, 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 wow. Rolly Crump helped build, how's it going, guys? Helped build the Haunted Mansion. He helped come up with all kinds of the Museum of the Weird. He came up with a bunch of the stuff. You know who Rolly Crump is. Google him. ROLLYCRUMP. Rolly Crump designed that Ernie Ball logo right there. So there is a piece of Disney history. Walt Disney himself gave this guy that created this logo his start. And assuming a guy named Ernie called him up one day and was like, hey, I'm bald, and I got this idea for guitar strings. They're gonna be called Ernie Bald strings. But then the guy, Rolly probably ran out of room for the D. Look at this, Rickenbacker. Have any of you ever played a Rickenbacker guitar? I have not. But you know who did? George Harrison, the Quiet Beatle. He played a Rickenbacker guitar, and as a result, they're pretty famous. Look at this guy right here. That's Joe Perry. There he is in front of these little amps I've never seen him play. He was in Aerosmith, and then he wasn't in Aerosmith, and then he was in Aerosmith. That's the story of Joe Perry. You can tell I'm delirious, right? Like I have a fever, I don't feel good. I kind of weirdly don't want to be here. Anyway, there are all kinds of crazy famous rock and rollers and famous people walking around. I did see Steve Stevens yesterday. Last time I was at NAMM, I saw Billy Joe Armstrong from Green Day and talked to him. Pat Smear, I wasn't kidding, I did actually talk to Pat Smear. A bunch of different rock stars. So people from Nirvana and Green Day, and I'm sure Pete Wentz and Fall Out Boy people are here, and all those fancy people you like. I met some crazy Middle Eastern drum players yesterday that are famous in their own countries. How you doing, sir? There's guys in top hats and people who, a lot of people who played in famous bands are here. Oh, look, another hub of activity. Another hot spot right here. The sheet music. Yeah. Killing it. Anyway, all kinds of famous musicians and stuff are here. Here's the weird thing though, even though I was a musician forever and forever and forever, I realized yesterday as I was looking around like, oh, who do I recognize? You know, it might be fun to catch some of these people on Snapchat. I realized that me personally, almost all of the musicians that are really, really famous to me, that really, really matter to me, all the names that I would know and the faces that I would recognize are almost all dead. Which was really a weird feeling, like, oh man, I am really out of touch. I only like dead people music. But I really like lots of different kinds of music. It's just that I have never been a music fan in the sense that, like, I don't go and like learn what the bass player for Foo Fighters name is. Like, I honestly just couldn't care less. It's not that I'm poo-pooing on some band's, you know, talent or anything. And I, being in a band, or having been in bands, know exactly how important each piece of the puzzle is, making your favorite songs, your favorite records, doing all those tours. It's just that I just really don't know. I really don't know what the singer from such and such's name is, or oh, well, I know who Fletcher is. Look at Fletcher right there. He's from Pennywise. That's a punk band. I know what's going on there. But anyways, I don't know. That guy staring at us? He's staring at us. Oh my gosh, he's mean mugging us. We're gonna die. We're not gonna die. It's gonna be fun. I really wouldn't know. So I'm walking around seeing all these people, faces I recognize. And then what's weird is a bunch of the faces I recognized yesterday, I'm just giving you guys a little look around here, and they do have real instruments. A bunch of the faces I recognized actually weren't rock stars or anything like that. They're people I recognize from doing these videos, or people who recognize me. But a lot of them are people that I played with when I was in a band. And there's a very weird contrast because there's two groups of people that I used to play with. There's two categories of humanity that I am meeting with as I walk around here, and one group of the people has completely changed. So there's me, who is just like giving up and dropped out of the race. I almost like leaving a cult. Man, when you quit your band, when you drop out, everybody that knows you from the band and all the people in the other bands, let me tell you, they're all like, what do you mean you quit? Well, what are you gonna do now? You gonna start another band? You gonna join another band? Nope, I'm out. What? It's like leaving the, I swear to you, it's like leaving the mob. Like trying to get out of the punk scene, drop out of a band, or even not even the punk people, it was a lot of the other people too, all the rock and roll people. It's like leaving the mob. They're all like, what are you gonna do now? How? What do you mean? And then none of them want to talk to you. You're like the weirdo that's like, what do you mean music isn't everything? What's wrong with you, man? So it's super, super weird. Anyway, I saw a bunch of those people who just have not changed at all, who were like coming up to me like, yeah, man, we got a gig at this bar. It's the same bar that we would have been playing in 10, 15 years ago when we were teenagers. And I'm like, oh, you're still playing there? Like, how many shows did you play last year? Oh, I played, 50 shows. And there was like 100 people at our show last week. And you're just like, man, that is cool. On the one hand, that is cool. I love bands like the Ramones. They were never super huge. We know. Oh, and this is the end. This is the very end of all of NAMM, by the way. Hold on. Continue with my shit. That was weird. Everyone was stoked that it was over. I think because all these people are working. They want to go home. Ah, there go the lights. Just like Star Wars Celebration and D23, there go the lights. We got to pull out the badge now so we don't get kicked off the floor because we're exhibitors. Anyway, all these people who really hadn't changed or moved on with their lives, they're all still doing the same thing. And on the one hand, I really respect that, man. Rock and roll, never let it die. Live your dream. If that's really your true passion, you do it. You do you, babe. And you go and you rock. You rock hard. But then the other hand, I was meeting people who are now like big time buyers for big music companies and people who work for like I ran into a guy who played bass in my band for 5 minutes, and now he's working for ASCAP. ASCAP collects all the royalties from radio and different things, or not performance royalties, for artists all over the world, like big name artists. So a lot of people that I know I'm running into who are all running this place. Super weird. Look at this creepy, look how creepy it got in here. We are now really near to the China Pavilion. This is what I wanted to show you before the lights went out. Not only is Fender and Gibson here, although they're upstairs on a whole league of their own with Roland. 3 companies who are just, they're not down here with the peasants. Actually, they're on the 3rd floor. The 2nd floor has some good stuff too. And then down here on the big floor, this is peasantry. Over here is the Chinese section. So we have all kinds of auto musica here. And we have all kinds of strange violins and cellos. Boy, these guys are quick because this was all here set up 30 minutes ago. All kinds of violins and cellos and wonderful things. And there's guitars with no names on the headstocks. Of course, there are some good companies downstairs. Remo and Vickford and Zildjian and all kinds of the crazy big drum companies are all down here because they didn't want the drums on the 3rd floor shaking the whole place down. So all the drums, Ludwig's down here, I think. Somewhere, I think DW drums. I wish I had time to show it all to you. I was in the desert for most of the NAMM show, so I missed a lot of the show this time. And I just didn't have time. And I was over here in the drum section earlier while the public was still in here before closing, and it was just so loud and crazy. I couldn't, my head was gonna explode. But anyway, the China Pavilion is over here, past Hohner. The guy, Hohner, I've never been able to pronounce this. Look at this. These guys have made almost every harmonica I've ever owned in my life, right here. Hohner. Can you pronounce that? Everyone I know has always said Hohner. Hohner. Hohner, that rhymes with loner. Over here is the China Pavilion, like I was saying. I want to come down to the China Pavilion and see if what I was talking about is. There's all kinds of knockoffs. So you have Vickford, one of the craziest drumstick companies in the world, very, very famous. And then over here in the corner, you got all the crazy knockoffs. So here you have, look at this musical instrument from Santa Ana, California. I have never heard of them. They make their instruments 5 minutes from me. Here you have some lovely flutes. And over here, oh no, they're taking it down, the China Pavilion. All right, if we don't see what I'm describing, you gotta take my word for it. There's all these guitars in here yesterday with like no names on the headstocks and like all this stuff. They look a lot like a Fender Stratocaster, but no name. You would never know. Oh man, these Chinese people. They know how to break down a booth. Look at this. 20 minutes ago, this was bumping. All kinds of people selling all kinds of products. And these people are tearing down. Whoa, what the heck is that? What the heck is that? It's the biggest Tommy gun of all time in there. Well, there you go. You can see there, violins, Sophia violins. Oh well, I guess what I was trying to show you is ruined, but it's funny because over here you have the China Pavilion, and then you have the Germany Pavilion, and all these like little pavilions of instruments made in other countries, but primarily all of these pavilions are things like violins, saxophones, flutes, things of that nature. All the guitar, and some of the knockoff guitars and stuff, but I think it's funny that when it comes to guitars and basses and drums and all the rock and roll stuff, they don't distinguish by country. It's just like, look at us, we're huge. Who cares where we're from? You know what a Marshall amp is. Look at this stuff. These are instruments, by the way, for real musicians. Beijing Eternal Musical makes that one. So there you go. But these are musical instruments. Let's go this way. I didn't even go behind the column. Look at the behind the column in the very dark corner. We're seeing some exclusive stuff here, folks. See, now I'm feeling a little better. I'm getting hyper. The second I stop this, I'm gonna be like, oh God. I was just thinking yesterday, I used to play clarinet and bass clarinet, trumpet, musical instruments in school. Did you ever play I want to know your musical experience, but I used to play real musical instruments in school, and these, my friends, are instruments that musicians play. You have to be a real musician to keep playing those kinds of instruments and write that kind of music. To play guitar, I'm telling you from experience, I know, I got 4 fingers pointed right back at me. Okay, here's what I was talking about. Hold on a second. I just have to show you as an example. Look at these wonderful products here. Oh, cool, look at this Les Paul. I want one of these, and then I want to put my own name on it, like a Random Land Guitars. Yeah, I think that's kind of what it's for. Like, come buy them from our factory in China, and you can put whatever name you want on this guitar. Even Gibson, probably. But don't tell anyone we said that was cool. Wink! Wink, 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 wink. Anyway, I was thinking that takes real talent. Trust me, there are very talented guitar players, drummers, bass players, rock and roll musicians, don't get me wrong, but at the same time, you gotta trust me on this. Like I said, 4 fingers pointing back at myself. Did I just spit when I talked? That was weird. There's a lot, and by the way, here's all the magazines. Look at all the free guitar magazines and the DJ Times, and you get all these free magazines here. WordPress, the website people are here. Everybody's convincing anyone that has anything to do with music to use their stuff here. We are currently out of Rock and Roll Industries magazine. Oh no, what are we gonna do out of Rock and Roll Industries magazine? Find more at their booth. Planet Earth is safe, we're okay. Anyway, it takes real musicians to use that stuff, and it really doesn't take all that much talent to use guitar. Trust me. Trust me. I mean, Joe Satriani, Steve Vai, the blues players. I'm talking about like your average band that you go see in a bar has way less talent than this equivalent amount of people from your average college level marching band. That's all I'm saying. It takes a lot more talent and dedication to use those kinds of instruments, and I'm not poo-pooing on rock and roll or punk music or anything like that. I'm just saying it takes a lot of talent to use the other stuff, and they don't get a lot of the, for all I know, they don't get a lot of the babes. Although, you know, what happens at band camp, what is happening here? Here we have the most relaxed individual. How's it going, sir? The most relaxed individual at NAMM. You did it. You did it. His job well done. He's done his duty. He can sit down there on a beanbag and sleep well. Anyways, look at how fast everybody has torn down. It's weird because I came to NAMM years ago when I was just some punk kid, oh, no pun intended, in a band, walking around with all my other punk friends that were also in bands, thinking that they were super cool. Look at us, we're walking around, we're gonna get discovered, we're gonna get sponsorship from one of these cool companies, right? Walking around thinking you're very busy and important, trying to find the rock stars. Look at this, I took a picture with Green Day. I took a picture with, who else did I take? Ricky Rocket from Poison. Look, I got a picture with Ricky. We took a fun one. And now I've come here.
You must leave the show floor immediately. The lights will be back on momentarily. Thank you.
What color's my badge? Oh, finally, we're not getting kicked out of someplace. Anyway, what was I talking about? I forget. Oh yeah, coming over here is a little punk kid rocking around. It's all about rock stars and meeting people like a regular convention. But then I realized that would never happen for anybody. Anybody coming here trying to get a sponsorship or a record deal or be discovered, you are literally barking up the wrong tree. Because now that I'm older, and I have friends who are like working in the biz, shall we say. Like I was literally hanging out and talking to one of the CEOs of one of these companies, you know, the other day, and then a big buyer for, I can't say who, but a big music vendor, someone who sells guitars and amps and things like that. And they're all saying like this is the wrong place to be doing that. What's really happening here behind the scenes, mostly upstairs, there's all these meeting rooms and stuff, and in the hotels, all the hotel rooms and the suites and the hospitality things and all this stuff, and the private parties and all that, is that big time music buyers, people from, say, I don't know, what's a big music store, Guitar Center or any of those places, are coming and meeting with these companies and saying, we'd like to get, you know, hey John, how's Ed? And here's my boss, and here's your boss. And they're all shaking hands and hugging. And then people from Jinbao are there, and they're like, please take our trombones and put them in your guitar store. And then the guitar store's like, well, what kind of MSRP is on that? And we got taxes and import duties, and well, we're only gonna shift so many units, and it's like really extremely boring. But they're doing that over fancy dinners or, you know, while they're hanging out with Stevie Wonder. So it's all good. There's actually people working here is my point. People working really hard, doing things that are incredibly boring that we don't understand. So as exciting as it is that they have artists out here showing how to play a Strandberg guitar, on the flip side, there's actually people who are doing a lot of work here. So NAMM show, hopefully, I don't know, now that I failed them by doing this Fever vlog, I don't know, hopefully I'll get the invitation to come back next year, and if I do, I will come on the days when it's not open to the public, so it's a little less crowded, and it's a little more exciting, a little more, we're fresh, we're ready to go, and I'll be more fresh and ready to go. So hopefully next year we get a Random Land out of it, or a much longer, crazier vlog showing, hopefully we'll do the vlog with Stevie Wonder. Wouldn't that be something? Remember we did the vlog in Vegas where we saw the fake Stevie Wonder. Wouldn't it be great if we got the real one? We could do the pose. Remember that? No? Go back and watch it. You'll see. Anyway, it's been about 30 minutes of nonsense here, wandering around. I'm gonna go upstairs and see if I can thank the people of Roland, R-O-L-A-N-D. Hey, like Roland Crump, who designed the logo for Ernie Ball Strings. What knowledge? I'm gonna go upstairs and see if I can thank them before I leave for inviting me to this wonderful, wonderful convention. Look at this, here's a Regal tip. Oh, ladies know all about Regal tip, because ladies love the drums. And here we go, there's some clarinets and the thing, and I'm just so tired, you guys, my head is gonna explode. Oh, look, a penny whistle for beginners book. The history of the tin whistle. That should be a New York Times bestseller if it isn't already. And it probably is. so don't worry about it. What do we got over here? What do we got over here? Ludwig drums, coffin case, crazy stuff going on. What do we got over here? Hall, crystal flutes, everyone's fave. Anyway, I'm gonna go upstairs and have to go past all kinds of... Was that Jim Henson? Gotta go upstairs past all kinds of crazy security and go see if I can thank my hosts for bringing me here. I apologize for the weirdness of this particular vlog. I didn't have time to build it to scale or to paint it, and like I said, I am actually sick. And you know what? Of all the freaking things that I looked for and have been trying to find, I never found a cowbell. See, look at these guys, they're cracking their stuff, taking their stuff home. You guys don't happen to have any cowbells, do you? You have any cowbells? You know, like, yeah, cowbells for drums or anything? No cowbells. Moving along. I'm out of luck. I might have to actually go and maybe get some ibuprofen instead. I thought the only prescription was more cowbell. What am I gonna... Anyway, thank you for watching. Subscribe for some more when I'm not feverish, and I will see you soon. Thank you all. I love you. Goodbye. And tell me about your musical experiences down below. My band was called The Scarred. A lot of people asked about that. S-C-A-R-R-E-D, 2 R's, like my last name. My last name, you know, Scarred. That's because of my band. And if you Google just The Scarred or go to iTunes and look up The Scarred, albums will come up. And pretty soon, the album Live Fast Die Poor, it's all coming together now, isn't it? The album Live Fast Die Poor by The Scarred is coming back to iTunes. It's being remastered, so that's pretty exciting. And I heard it. It sounds neat. It sounds fun. That's coming back to iTunes. What else? On the 30th, I'll be in Santa Ana, California with Bob Gurr, F-A-N-D-O-M, fandomproductions.com. You can get tickets for that. Bob Gurr is another one of Walt Disney's Imagineers. I don't think Rolly Crump will be there that did the streaks for Ernie anyway, but I'll be there. So check it out. Follow me on Instagram, Live Fast Die Poor, Snapchat, Live Fast Die Poor, Live Fast Die Poor, blah, blah. Tweet me, Justin Scott. I'm gonna go home and sleep well. I've done my duty, and I'm dying now. I'm just gonna sleep on this abandoned bar. You've done your duty. Go home and sleep well.